Episode 271. Secret Errand. Miranda thought Joanna Gardner might be just the ally Elizabeth needed to help her land Logan. Not only was she Logan's mother, but Joanna knew how to wrap men around her little finger. Joanna had first married Christopher Alexander, and then later Jackson Gardner. Now that both men were gone, Joanna flitted from one boyfriend to the next. Most importantly, in Miranda's mind, Joanna had not only given birth to the Alexanders family heir, but she was also Garrett's mother, the Gardner family heir. Miranda was envious of Joanna's good fortune. She didn't lack money, status, or power, even if Joanna was a little frivolous and her private life was not very proper. Because of her sons, no one would dare to criticize her to her face. Joanna was simply a winner in life. If Miranda could have given birth to a son for Charles, she wouldn't be in such a miserable state right now. Miranda felt that her current situation was quite awkward. If she had known that Charles would one day leave her for another woman, Miranda would have transferred all the shares of the Kingston group into her name from the beginning. If she had done that, Charles wouldn't have ever dared to cheat on her. Miranda sighed. She had to forget about the past. She could only focus on the future. The most important thing right now was Elizabeth's marriage. "Are you sure you want me to contact Joanna?" Miranda liked Joanna. She was easy to talk to, but the relationship between Joanna and Logan was a little messy. "Mommy, think about it. Joanna just arrived back in LA. She's going to want to find a woman to introduce to Logan, a woman that can be her ally and who can help Joanna improve her own relationship with her son. Joanna is not going to find a like-minded woman who is also obedient and from a good family easily, let alone quickly. Let's deliver ourselves to her doorstep and solve her problem. I don't believe that Joanna won't see the benefits of sponsoring me." Elizabeth's eyes were full of desire. Miranda frowned and thought about it for a while. She felt that an alliance with Joanna might be the only viable option left. They had tried everything else to land Logan. Although Elizabeth was retreating in order to advance now, Miranda thought she couldn't retreat too far. She was afraid that Elizabeth would be completely forgotten by Logan if she didn't continue to act proactively. Elizabeth had to be out of Logan's line of sight from time to time. She couldn't keep bugging him. Her daughter needed to maintain her dignity to earn Logan's respect. After the incident with Charles, Miranda finally understood that if a woman pestered a man too much in order to get closer to him, it could have the opposite effect and drive him away. If a man couldn't have something, he would want it more. Men were like children in this way. It was better to be the candy dangling in front of them, that they were always one step away from getting it. This way, a woman could maintain a long period of novelty and excitement. Miranda made up her mind and decided to go to the Gardner family. She'd bring Elizabeth along to personally introduce her to Joanna. When Violet decided she wanted to gift Logan a portion of her Kingston Group shares for his birthday, she knew she was going to need Noah's help. She wished that she could give Logan the shares on her own. Violet was a little afraid that Noah and Haley would not agree when they found out. But in the end, Violet realized that there were many laws and regulations involved in the transfer of ownership, and she would need Noah's legal advice and expertise. She couldn't let others take advantage of her. In the end, Violet had to tell Noah. Of course, as expected, Noah didn't agree. "Violet, doing this is the equivalent of handing half your assets over to Logan. If your arrangement with him ends badly, or Logan acts in bad faith, you could find yourself in a very vulnerable position," Noah tried to explain. "I'm not worried. I trust Logan. I owe him a debt of gratitude and kindness. He has never lied to me. Besides, I need to make sure Adam and Amy are taken care of. If anything were to happen to me, I can't guarantee that Logan's future wife will treat them fairly," she told him. You think too far ahead. Noah rubbed his forehead in agitation. I think Logan and I are good to our children. Violet stood still and looked at Noah seriously. You know I don't like to receive favors for no reason. Noah wanted to say that she had already given Logan a lot, but he couldn't say it out loud. He was afraid that Violet would misunderstand. Violet continued, I have no choice, Noah. I have to think about the children. I have to let people know that no matter whether I can be a part of the Alexander family or not, the children and I can live well on our own. It's fine if the Alexander family treats the children well, but this way, if something happens, the children will still be fine. Noah tried one more time, but you are entrusting the shares into Logan's hands. If his family doesn't treat the children well, how can you be so sure that Logan will act in their best interests with the Kingston Group shares? He questioned. Violet waved her hand. Isn't that the worst-case scenario? Logan loves Adam and Amy. I have to trust he'll do right by them and follow my wishes. Besides, I have you. I know you will help me write safeguards into the contract. The ones I trust the most are you and Haley, she stated. Noah was still a little unwilling, but he had no choice but to follow Violet into his office. And you know, having Logan involved will only help in the fight for the rest of my shares, Violet added, as she sat down across from Noah's desk and watched him open his laptop. Violet knew the Kingstons wouldn't fight fair in the upcoming battle. There were still many traps waiting for her in the future, and Violet didn't know if she could avoid them on her own. All right, stop talking. I'll help you. You will definitely be fine. Noah agreed that having Logan more directly involved would help Violet's case. His first priority would always be to protect Violet. Violet had made up her mind. Noah could only abide by her wishes and make sure he legally protected her as much as possible. The sky was dark by the time Noah had everything settled and notarized. They were on their way out to the car when Haley called them and asked where they were. Noah told Haley that he and Violet had gone shopping for Logan's birthday present. Noah figured it wasn't a total lie, if not a bit of an understatement. Then why did Violet turn off her phone? Logan's been on a rampage trying to reach her all afternoon. When her phone kept going straight to voicemail, he called me, Jay, his house staff, Priya, and anyone else he could think of, repeatedly. It was only when Logan finally reached Henry that he began to settle down. Even though he was unhappy, Henry wouldn't tell him where Violet was. Corey told me he thought Logan was going to flip over a table or something. He was so frustrated, Haley informed them. Noah had put Haley on speakerphone so Violet could hear her. She rolled her eyes at Haley's description of Logan's rampage. Then Violet turned her phone around to show Noah that her battery was dead. I guess Violet forgot to charge her phone. Don't worry, I will get her to call Logan. We're about to get in the car, he informed. Noah hung up with Haley and handed his phone to Violet as they climbed into Henry's car. Noah instructed Henry to take them to the Hanover, a luxury mall nearby. Noah still needed to get Logan a gift, even though the man would probably hardly notice after Violet's present was open. He heard Violet greet Logan on his phone. Hey, it's me. Noah could only imagine what Logan's reply would be. He wanted to say something, but kept his thoughts to himself. Episode 272. Guess the Gift. Logan was ready to leave work. He'd let his entire staff go home early, and now he wanted to leave as well. He hadn't been able to concentrate much today anyway. At first, Logan was distracted because he couldn't find Violet. He'd finally discovered that she was with Henry, but he didn't know where they'd gone. His driver had informed him that he'd been sworn to secrecy. Logan knew that this must mean that Violet was out shopping for his birthday, so he hadn't asked anything else. he would play along and pretend not to know anything. Otherwise, what kind of surprise would the gift be? Now, Logan was completely distracted trying to guess what Violet was getting him for his birthday. What kind of surprise was she planning? Logan guessed that it might be a cake personally made for him, or maybe a tie, or cufflinks, or something like that. Logan had never cared so much about a birthday present before. Adam and Amy had called him after school to wish him a happy birthday. Because the three of them shared the same birthday, this year's celebrations would definitely be livelier than previous years. Still, Logan had wanted to keep tonight's gathering small, just close family and friends. The children were still new to the Alexander family, and he thought keeping a low profile was best. However, for those closest to him, there would definitely be a celebration. Logan knew his grandmother had spared no expense. Adam and Amy were describing the birthday cake Agnes had ordered. "It's white and has lots of layers. It's so big, Daddy. It's the biggest birthday cake we've ever seen. It's even got strawberries and chocolate on top. Haley loves chocolate." Amy was beside herself with joy. "Daddy, you invited Haley and Noah to come tonight, right?" Adam asked. "Of course they're coming, but it might be a little later," Logan replied, smiling at their happiness. Adam and Amy didn't even ask if their mommy was coming. That was their mommy. No matter how busy mommy was, she would always come to celebrate their birthday with them. "Daddy, we bought you a gift with our own money. We think you are going to like it so much. And Alex already gave us his gift. He bought us 2 puppies," they chirped. Logan chuckled. Alex had told him that Adam and Amy had said they wanted to raise dogs. Logan suspected he said this because Alex wanted to buy the children a puppy as a birthday present. And now it has turned into 2 puppies. Logan smiled. Alex was really like a family member. He was the one who helped create a more peaceful life in the Alexander family. Logan talked to the children about the puppies for a while and asked Adam to take a video with Mike's phone and send it to him. Logan couldn't help but laugh when he saw the video. Both dogs were chocolate labs, and you couldn't even tell them apart. Alex had obviously thought it through and had adopted twin puppies for the twins. "After you're done playing with the puppies, remember to wash your hands, okay?" Logan instructed. "We know, Daddy. Uncle Mike has already had us wash our hands." "Daddy, when are you coming back? We miss you so much." Adam and Amy's words were all jumbled together as they talked over one another in their excitement. "Do you really miss Daddy?" Logan knew they missed him, but not as much as they missed Violet. Alex had even told him that the children hadn't just been counting down the days until their birthday, but the days until they saw Mommy. Today's birthday party was only for invited family members, as well as Logan's good friends such as Tom. As for Logan inviting Noah and Haley, Agnes didn't know about them yet, and Logan didn't think it was necessary to tell her. As long as Joanna showed up tonight, then Noah, Haley, and even Violet's appearance wouldn't matter. As far as Logan was concerned, all his mother ever did was cause trouble. Only his grandmother wouldn't give up on her and got her hopes up every time his mother came to town. Agnes always hoped that Joanna would do what was best for her son and try to get along with him. Unlike his grandmother, Logan had never tried to reconcile with his mother. Even though she had carried him in her womb for 9 months, that didn't mean he had to like the woman. Hopefully, with Violet by his side, his mother would realize he had a woman now and wouldn't be begging to introduce a girlfriend to him. If she was cooperative, Logan would reluctantly try to get along with her for the time being. Logan told Adam and Amy he would see them soon and to be good for Mike. After he hung up with the children, Logan called George's doctor at Central Hospital to ask about his condition. "I feel that he has been getting better the past few days. There is a chance he might wake up soon, but I can't guarantee anything," the doctor informed him. Logan thanked the doctor for the update and told him that the Smith Group would be making another donation to his research lab before hanging up. Logan had no sooner set down his phone when it vibrated again. The screen identified the caller as Noah. Good, maybe Noah had an update on Violet's whereabouts. But when Logan picked up, it wasn't Noah's voice he heard, but Violet's. "Hey, it's me. I've heard you've been looking for me," she asked. "Well, you weren't picking up your phone, so I called a few people. You're with Noah? Are you coming home soon so we can go to grandmother's house together?" he questioned. Violet rolled her eyes, but decided since it was Logan's birthday, she wouldn't give him a hard time about the few people he'd called while looking for her. "Yes, I'm with Noah. I believe Haley is meeting up with us soon. I thought we'd go directly to the old residence and meet you there. You should arrive early so you can greet your guests," she suggested. Logan frowned. He had wanted to arrive with Violet. Still, she had agreed to go, and he knew she was nervous. Maybe it would be better if she came with her friends. "Fine," Logan agreed. "But you still need to change your clothes. I've arranged for Tom to meet you at his shop," he told her. "Why can't I go there directly? What I'm wearing today is fine. The last thing I need is more new clothes." Violet got a headache just thinking about all the brand new clothes hanging in her closet, their tags still attached. She had only worn about 10% of what she owned, but Logan still kept buying them for her. Violet was not interested in fashion to begin with. Maybe she would auction the clothes off one day. The money she made could be donated to charity or something like that. If Logan supported her, that would go a long way toward alleviating her guilt. "Why must you argue with me?" Logan sounded exasperated. "If I tell you to go, then go. Don't try to save me money. I can afford to buy you new clothes every day for the rest of your life. I want Adam and Amy and everyone else tonight to see how beautiful their mommy is." But Violet tried to protest, but Logan cut her off. "It's my birthday. Will you please just do this for me?" he asked. "Okay," Violet compromised, but only because Logan reminded her that it was his birthday, and he had even said please. "Good. I'll see you soon." Logan then hung up the phone. Violet figured he didn't want to give her the chance to change her mind. Violet looked down at the navy slacks and sweater she was wearing and sighed. Despite what Logan said, she knew Adam and Amy couldn't have cared less about what Violet wore. They always thought their mommy looked beautiful. Violet was changing because of Logan. She knew it made him happy to see her in the best his money could buy. She resigned herself to having to submit to Tom's primping. The stylist was also invited to Logan's dinner, so Violet figured she'd invite him to ride to the old residence with them. Tom would be another friendly face to bolster her courage when she walked into the Alexander mansion. Violet was going to need all the help she could get. Episode 273. Wardrobe Changes. When Noah and Violet arrived at Tom's workshop, Haley was already there. Unlike Violet, who had no interest in shopping, Haley was in heaven. Tom and Haley both had ties to the fashion industry, so they chatted about the latest designs and trends whenever they met. Plus, Tom's workshop was a paradise that most die-hard fashionistas could only dream about entering. Every shelf, hook, hanger, and closet was bursting with clothes, accessories, scarves, and handbags. Haley had already been there for a while when Violet and Noah arrived. She had started a pile of items to buy. So far, she had 2 sweaters, a pair of boots, 2 handbags, 4 blouses, and a scarf in her to-buy pile. Haley saw Noah and Violet push open the door and enter. She waved happily at them from the other side of the store. "Violet, come over here. Tom has so much good stuff to choose from," she exclaimed. Noah laughed softly when he saw that Haley's eyes were shining bright with enthusiasm. He and Violet walked over to join her. Violet face-palmed. "I don't need to choose anything new. Haley, you need to come shop in my closet. Anything you want, I will gladly give it to you." Violet and Haley were like sisters. They were extraordinarily close. Violet was willing to share anything with her, material or otherwise. "I can't wear your clothes, Violet. I won't fit them." Haley was tall, with a statuesque figure, whereas Violet was petite with an hourglass shape. Haley had once suspected that Noah liked Violet, so she had indirectly asked him what he found attractive in a woman. Noah had said that he liked a woman who could look him directly in the eye. His answer had pleased her enormously. Since Noah didn't mind her height, she didn't mind it either. Violet rolled her eyes, but relented when Haley said she had to choose some new things. "Fine, I'll take the scarf and the sweater. I really don't need anything, though." Violet looked at the steadily growing pile next to Haley. "Are you buying all of that?" Haley looked at Noah. "Do you think it's too much?" Violet could tell Haley was worried Noah would think her frivolous. Violet was sensitive to Haley's attitude towards Noah. It was different from before. In the past, Haley hardly asked Noah for his opinion. She could tell Haley was trying to be more open and less distant with Noah. Since Haley had decided to take the initiative, Violet felt happy for them from the bottom of her heart. Violet had known for a long time that Noah liked Haley. She had been gently encouraging Noah to quit wasting time and take the initiative with Haley. Violet wanted nothing more than for her two best friends to fall in love. "Why are you asking him? Of course he wants you to buy whatever you want. Right, Noah?" Violet teased him playfully. Noah and Violet were quite close. It was because of the intimate relationship between Violet and Noah that Haley had made up her mind to pursue him. Not because Haley thought she had to compete with Violet, because she knew how their intimate friendship looked to outsiders. Haley knew their relationship was platonic, but she didn't like all the shippers online rooting for Noah and Violet to get together. Haley wanted Noah very much, but she had been playing hard to get. She had wanted Noah to be the one to take the initiative. Now Haley realized that her thinking had been a bit old-fashioned. She realized she didn't have to wait for the man to make the first move. Besides, with Noah's workaholic ways and heavy load of responsibilities, Haley had decided he was going to need a little push if they were ever going to move out of the friend zone. Haley had been observing the growing closeness between Violet and Logan. She saw how Logan seemed to care more and more about Violet. Haley wanted that same closeness with Noah. The yearning in her heart for love was growing crazily, unstoppable. Furthermore, if Haley and Noah became a couple, those rumors on the internet would cease, which would be good for Violet's reputation. Haley would never want her friends to distance themselves from each other just to avoid gossip. She cared about them and their friendship too much. Still, if she was with Noah and Violet was with Logan, Haley would be relieved to put the online rumors to rest once and for all. Haley, Noah, and Violet had been friends for many years. Haley was a little worried about what would happen to their friendship if she and Noah became a couple. She didn't want things to feel awkward, but it seemed that Violet actually supported their relationship wholeheartedly. Furthermore, the more open she was with him, the more Noah seemed to be responding to Haley. For example, just now, when Violet teased him, Noah didn't try to avoid suspicion as he would have in the past. Instead, he smiled and nodded. "Violet is right. Buy whatever you want, Haley. If it makes you happy, I'm happy." Haley finally felt at ease. Her recent days of restlessness had been swept away. Haley's mood couldn't get any better. "I'm going to be jealous, Haley," Violet joked, folding her arms. "Just look at how agreeable and cooperative your man is," she added. Haley blushed. "All right, stop making fun. Quickly, go and try on your clothes." Haley pushed Violet into the fitting room. "Your clothes today suit you very well. They're very beautiful." Haley turned around and saw Noah looking at her in a mirror. He saw her return his gaze, and their eyes met. Noah smiled, and Haley actually felt her blush deepen. Haley saw Tom walking towards them. Feeling suddenly shy, she quickly turned away from Noah to speak to Tom. "Thank you, Tom, for your help. I'm going to take everything in my pile. How much do I owe you?" Tom waved her off. "Don't worry about that. You don't owe me anything. It all just goes on Logan's account," he told her. "There's no need for that. I'd like to pay for her things." Noah took out his wallet and wanted to pay. You don't have to do that, Noah. I can pay for it myself," Haley whispered. "Yes, you could pay for it yourself, but this is my treat." "Can't I spoil you?" Noah nodded at Tom, indicating he should give the bill to him. "I say you guys stop arguing because I won't accept your money anyway," Tom told them. "You are Violet's friends, and I wouldn't feel right charging you. Just consider it a gift from me," he stated. Violet came out of the fitting room at that moment, and they all turned. When Haley saw her, she squealed happily. "Wow, you look amazing." "Do you really think so?" Violet asked a bit nervously. "Of course you do. Didn't you see Haley's reaction?" Noah smiled at Violet, then looked at Haley. The corner of his mouth curled up. Seeing such a strong woman, allowing herself to be vulnerable was really too tempting. Noah was already sure that Haley belonged to him. Since she wanted to establish a relationship as soon as possible, he was naturally all for it. Haley was gleeful. "I can't wait to see the look on that old bat's face when she sees you tonight, Violet. How Agnes could ever think you are unworthy of the Alexander family is beyond me. You are the picture of elegance," she remarked. Violet looked at herself in the mirror. The white lace dress she wore had long sleeves and a form-fitting skirt that ended mid-calf. It was a classic silhouette and very elegant. The V-shaped collar matched perfectly with a black pearl necklace. The circle of black lace embroidery around her waist highlighted both Violet's slender figure and her curves. It was simply too beautiful. Well, Violet thought, if she had to face Agnes tonight, at least she would look good doing it. Episode 274. The Alexander Family. Noah and Haley and Tom all told Violet that she looked sensational. They unanimously agreed that Violet had nothing to be ashamed of when she entered the Alexander family's home for Logan's birthday party. Magnificent and elegant. The dress suits you very well, Violet. I can't wait to see Logan's face when you walk in. Tom smiled at Violet as he quickly swept her hair into an elegant updo to match her outfit. It's not Logan I'm concerned with. It's the rest of the family, Violet said, still feeling anxious. Family? Tom raised his eyebrows. Oh, so you finally admit to being a part of Logan's family, he teased. What? No! Violet was flustered. I mean, I'm not. I meant the Alexander family. Logan and I aren't a family. We're, well, we're just Logan and Violet. She looked at Noah and Haley in embarrassment, and she stammered. Tom was joking. After all, they were good friends, and Haley and Noah knew very well what kind of relationship she had with Logan. We don't care as long as you're happy, Haley told her. She didn't add that they both knew that there was indeed something more going on between Logan and Violet. Haley and Noah looked at each other and smiled. Tonight, they had both felt the shift in their own relationship. They were finally acknowledging that they had feelings for one another. Although the two were now connected, they knew that finding time to spend together would be a challenge. Noah was about to have his first court hearing in Violet's lawsuit against the Kingstons, and for the time being, the majority of his time would be spent on fulfilling his promise to help Violet regain her shares. Haley was also busy with work, as Garrett continued to entrust her with more and more responsibilities. Noah wondered if perhaps he and Haley should consider living together. It seemed to be working out well for Violet and Logan. If they lived together, when they got off work, they would at least get to see each other and know that there would be someone waiting for them at home. They could cook dinner and talk about their days, and then spend their nights together. Noah was silent on the surface as he watched the others finish getting ready. But in fact, he was busy planning things close to his heart. Noah knew Haley had always felt that he could appear a bit cold to outsiders, although it was different from Logan's coldness. Noah was not really cold, but rather indifferent. He just didn't care about many things around him. Noah smiled to himself. Haley would soon discover that Noah was not cold to everything, or everyone. In fact, when Noah knew what he wanted, he could be quite hot. He wondered if Haley would be shocked. Noah's pleasant thoughts were interrupted by everyone preparing to leave. It was time to party with the Alexander family. Currently, the old residence of the Alexander family was brightly lit, and the extended members of the family had begun to arrive. Although it was almost winter, since this was Los Angeles, it was still warm enough for the guests to chat outside in the garden and courtyard. Waiters circled with trays of appetizers and drinks, and the guests were in a festive mood. Adam and Amy were playing with their new puppies, and a few children in the courtyard. The puppies grew very excited as they ran with the children, fetching their balls over and over. When Adam and Amy took the dogs to get a drink of water, they debated again what to name them. One puppy was a boy, and the other was a girl. They were both brother and sister, just like Adam and Amy. Adam stroked the boy dog's fur and tilted his head to think. Alex said the puppies are chocolate labs. So why don't we name them after our favorite chocolate candy? Adam suggested. We could call the boy Kit and the girl Cat, Amy finished, jumping up and down with excitement. Kit, the boy puppy, seemed to approve as he began to lick Adam's face enthusiastically. Amy grinned and laughed and said the names were perfect. She couldn't wait to introduce Mommy and Daddy to Kit and Cat. Some of their new Alexander cousins were playing with the twins. There was a boy and 2 girls who were slightly older than them. They had come with their parents, who were Logan's cousins, to celebrate. Because of Logan's status in the Alexander family, their parents had instructed their children to be nice to Adam and Amy. Since Logan was the head of the family, they knew it was important that their children befriend the twins. Logan had a pretty good relationship with his 3 cousins. His cousins were considered wealthy, but not nearly as wealthy or successful as Logan. They still relied on Logan's generosity and support. One of his cousins worked in the Smith Group's finance department, and his other 2 cousins worked for a production company owned by the Smith Group. Logan's aunt was more capable and had opened her own small company, but she also received a lot of financial support from Logan. On the surface, all the family members seemed to get along. No one dared say anything negative out loud about Logan or his branch of the family, lest they be cut off. However, money did strange things to people. Greed could make them turn on even their own family. Since the Alexander family was so rich now, these relatives felt that the amount of money given to them was too little. Logan's cousin, Eugene, who worked at Smith Group, would often secretly meet with Logan's opponents within the company. These people were quietly trying to elevate Eugene's side branch of the Alexander family in an attempt to take down Logan. After hearing what they had to say, Eugene had come to think Logan's enemies made sense. They were all surnamed Alexander. Why did the Alexander family give all their resources to Logan? If they wanted to change, now that the Smith Group was in a state of chaos, it was actually the best time to act, but they had to be very cautious. Before Logan arrived, the atmosphere inside the old residence was more relaxed. After all, Logan was notoriously cold and difficult to please. No one in the family wanted to offend him. A small offense might result in you being asked to leave, causing you to lose face in front of the rest of the family. Larger transgressions could mean Logan would reject you in business and make things difficult for you at work. Because of this, the family was guarded around Logan. Adam and Amy continued to run around outside with the other children and the puppies. They played hide and seek, tag, and follow the leader. The leader, of course, was always Amy, who naturally fell into a leadership role, even at a young age. Some of the adults approached to watch the children play. It's interesting. Logan's children are twins, but their personalities are very different, one relative observed the others after watching them for a while. What are their names again? I forgot. Another relative joined them in the courtyard and sat down on a bench. Oh, the boy is called Adam and the girl is called Amy, Tanya answered, who was the wife of Logan's cousin Eugene. Then pursing her lips and lowering her voice, Tanya added, You know Logan's children are illegitimate, right? I don't know why we're all pretending this is normal. This will definitely impact them growing up. The children will feel inferior. I wonder... Before Tanya could finish, a young voice cut her off. Who are you talking about? It was Adam. Episode 275. No Manners. Adam had heard the adults conversing about him and his sister. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about me and my sister? Adam asked the adults. Adam and his sister had grown tired from playing. Mary had brought the children a tray of cold lemonade, so Adam walked over to grab some for him and Amy. The puppies were trailing behind him, but Adam had asked Mike to go check and see if great-grandmother needed any help. There was a group of Alexander relatives nearby watching the children play. Mike figured the twins would be fine under the supervision of their adult relatives, and had gone to do as Adam asked. Adam took 2 glasses of lemonade and cut back across the lawn to join Amy. As he passed behind some of his new relatives, Adam had been shocked to overhear the adults saying mean things about him and his sister. Adam was stunned. He didn't want the adults to think that he had been eavesdropping on purpose. Mommy had taught Adam to respect his elders. So instead, Adam had politely asked who the adults had been talking about. Most people would feel embarrassed and a little awkward if caught red-handed by the person they had been gossiping about. They would find some way to quickly apologize and change the subject. But this had been overheard by a child, and some people didn't take the children seriously. They felt that their status as adults permitted them to do as they pleased. Not only would these adults feel that they had done nothing wrong, but they would shout and become defensive when called out. Unfortunately, this was their cousin Eugene's wife, Tanya's, reaction to being overheard by Adam. Why is this child so rude? Who taught him it was okay to eavesdrop? Tanya's voice was so sharp that Adam jumped. Amy heard the commotion and quickly ran over. She was only 5 years old, but she could be fierce when defending her twin brother. Why are you shouting at my brother? You scared me. Adam, what's going on? There was a fire in Amy's big eyes. This child is really uncultured. Who is she yelling at? Tanya called out. You're yelling much louder than Amy is, Adam told her calmly. Someone behind them chuckled. Tanya's embarrassment turned into anger, and she took her anger out on Amy and Adam. Both of these children are very rude. Has no one taught them any manners? Tanya scolded. Amy, forget it. I'm fine. Let's go inside. Adam didn't want to talk to this lady anymore. Mommy had told him not to bother with mean people like this. Adam had just wanted to ask who the adults were talking about. If they wouldn't tell him, then Adam would ask great-grandmother and Daddy. They would find out for him. Why is this my fault? We were just chatting when this boy came over to criticize us. Now it's us who bullies the children? Tanya was still rambling on, and the people around her were trying to shush her and tell her to stop talking. They tried to remind her that although these children were illegitimate, they were still Logan's children. Agnes had already recognized them as the heirs of the Alexander family. This was not something that a side branch of the family could discuss. They didn't want to be implicated in Tanya's wrongdoing and be the target of Logan's wrath. Tanya, however, was digging her heels in. She didn't feel that she had done anything wrong. Look at them. They're playing with those 2 puppies who are probably covered in fleas, and no one is stopping them. Peter, come here. let's go back inside the house, she instructed. Peter was Tanya's son that had been playing with Adam and Amy. He was tall and strong and funny. Adam liked him quite a bit. It was a bummer that his mommy wasn't very nice. Peter held the ball he had been about to throw for the puppies to fetch and stood frozen in place under the willow tree. He obviously didn't want to go inside with his mother. He liked his new cousins and was enjoying playing with them and their puppies. Peter didn't understand why his mother was yelling at Adam and Amy. He was really embarrassed. Why can't Peter play with us? That's not fair. You're just being mean. You should say sorry to my brother. Amy scowled at Peter's mother. This woman had been exposed when she had been caught talking badly about others, and now she was picking fights with little kids. Everyone was speechless. Amy was very bold for such a young child. She was fiercely protective of her brother. The bond between the twins was obviously strong. These children certainly acted like Logan's children. Like their father, they were not to be trifled with. Fiona and Anna were helping Agnes with the party. They were acting as hostesses, greeting the guests and supervising the staff. Anna had invited Mina to dinner, and the two of them were standing inside chatting when they heard the commotion outside. They hurried out into the courtyard to see what was going on. Anna rushed over to Amy and Adam when she saw the circle of people surrounding them. What's wrong, Amy? Has something happened? Adam, is someone bullying you? Although Anna had some reservations about Violet, she adored Adam and Amy. Tell me what's going on, and Aunt Anna will help you fix this, she assured. Anna, are you serious? Tanya looked disgusted. Why are you pampering these children? No one here is bullying them. Besides, they shouldn't be worried about us. What they should really be worried about is what happens to them when their daddy gets married and they get a stepmother. Then we'll see who really inherits this family, she spat. How can you speak like that? These are not things that should be said in front of children. Anna was appalled at Tanya's behavior. As an adult, Anna naturally had to shoulder the responsibility of protecting her nephew and niece. However, Anna's words were lost on Tanya, who continued to rant and rave. Aunt Anna, what does she mean by stepmother? Are we getting a stepmother? Adam panicked. They already had a mommy. Even great-grandmother had promised that she would never let them leave mommy. That was why he and Amy had agreed to come live with great-grandmother. Tanya is joking. Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Anna quickly comforted the twins. Tanya immediately shifted the focus of her wrath to Anna. You are the one to talk. You are just attacking me, so no one will talk about you and your mother. Anna was surprised by the venom in Tanya's tone. What are you talking about? I was just trying to comfort the children. This argument has nothing to do with me or my mother, she started, but Tanya interrupted her. Of course it has something to do with you. You are illegitimate yourself, so you are taking the children's side. Tanya started shouting towards the house like a shrew. Fiona, where are you? You should be out here defending your illegitimate daughter, she spouted animatedly. People gasped. This situation was getting out of control. More and more guests came pouring out of the house and into the courtyard to see what all the commotion was about. Fiona heard Tanya's sharp voice calling her name. Peeking out the window, she saw Tanya shouting and pointing at Anna. Fiona sent the two servers nearest to her to go find Alex and ran outside. She was embarrassed, but Fiona had been tasked by Agnes to host this party. If she didn't go outside to try to intercede, Agnes would call her useless and scold her for lacking interpersonal skills. As Fiona ran over to Anna, almost tripping several times as her high heels sank in the grass, she cursed herself and the whole Alexander family. She really didn't want to get involved in this mess. Christopher was dead, and he'd left Fiona behind to deal with his mother and the rest of his crazy family alone. When the Alexander family had first taken her and Anna under their wing, Fiona had been relieved. She had expected to live a life of leisure inside the refined walls of the Alexander mansion. Instead, Fiona was breaking up brawls outside on its lawn. Episode 276. Little Logan. Fiona rushed outside to help Anna. Tanya was yelling and causing a commotion out on the lawn of the old residence. Fiona had no interest in getting involved in the latest Alexander family drama. However, her own thoughts were not important. Agnes had made her the hostess this evening, and Fiona and Anna relied on the Alexander family for support. So naturally, Fiona had no choice but to jump into the family's latest mess. It seemed like the argument had started because Adam had overheard Tanya gossiping about him and his sister being illegitimate. Fiona had no idea why Tanya was picking on two little kids, let alone Logan's kids. Mary had told Fiona that Logan really seemed to love his children and had even risked his own life for them several times. Plus, Agnes also doted on Amy and Adam. In fact, Fiona had never seen Agnes so happy. She was constantly dreaming up fun things for them to do or make, and she answered all of their youthful questions patiently and willingly. Other than disapproving of the children's mother, Agnes seemed to think the twins were absolutely perfect. From what Fiona had observed of them, Amy was full of spirit and energy, while Adam was reserved and serious. Both children were polite and sweet, yet here Tanya was, scolding and yelling at the children while dragging Anna into the fray when she came to their defense. Fiona didn't appreciate that Tanya was now rubbing Anna's own illegitimacy in their faces, along with Adam and Amy's. "Don't argue with my Aunt Anna. She's done nothing wrong." Adam's small face was tense as he pulled Anna behind him. Anna had never been so moved. Was this child protecting her? She suddenly regretted filling Elizabeth's head with ideas of how to pester her big brother. Anna felt guilty and a bit despicable. If Elizabeth really had a way to take down her big brother, then what would happen to Adam and Amy? Would the Kingston family treat them well? Anna now felt as if she had acted impulsively. "I heard you talking about us behind our backs. You said mean things about my sister and me. It's you who has to apologize. Even adults have to say sorry when they're wrong," Adam told Tanya calmly but firmly. Everyone's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. What kind of child is this? Why is he so arrogant? The other guests were a bit nervous. A few of them had already walked away, fearing that they would be implicated. However, there were still a few who felt that he was just a child. No matter who Adam's father was, there was no need to be afraid. But Adam was not easy to bully, and his sister had his back. Amy nodded as she stood by his side. "Adam is right. Since you want children to be polite, adults should be nice too," she added. "Would someone like to tell me what is going on?" Alex asked. Alex had finally arrived. Anna heaved a sigh of relief. If they really got into a fight, she had no chance of winning. Tanya was famous for being difficult to deal with. Some men could not talk or do things themselves, so they liked to find a fierce woman to fight for them. Their cousin Eugene and his wife Tanya were perfect examples of this dynamic. "Alex, I want to ask you a question." Adam spoke in a quiet yet firm voice. Alex's heart was about to melt. Adam was like a little Logan. Was there any boy in Los Angeles who was better looking and more mature than Logan's son? Alex was quite proud. When he heard Adam's words, he squatted down and said, "It is my honor to answer your question, my little man." Adam was embarrassed. "I just wanted to ask you, what are illegitimate children? If my sister and I are illegitimate, does that make us inferior?" he asked. He and his sister had never felt inferior. Mommy, Haley, and Noah had always loved them very much, and now they had Daddy, great-grandmother, Alex, and other new family members who loved them dearly. But now, because of what Cousin Tanya had said, they felt inferior. Mommy had said before that if you felt wronged, then you had to say it out loud. Otherwise, the problem might get worse. Adam did not want to hear these words from this cousin again, so he had to ask Alex. Alex frowned deeply at Adam's question. Who told you this, Adam? Alex was quietly furious. Who had dared to speak of these things in front of the children? Alex looked round, daring the guilty party to come forward with just his stern eyes. It's her. Amy pouted and pointed at the woman with long wavy hair in front of her. How can you be so rude? Tanya scolded Amy. No matter what, I am still an adult. Why are you pointing at me? Did your mother, who's not qualified to enter the Alexander family, teach you that? It's Eugene's wife, Tanya. He should have known. Alex was not surprised. His face immediately grew more serious. Alex was far more than just a butler. He was Agnes's right-hand man and a mentor to Logan. His power in the Alexander family was far greater than any of these blood relatives. Just as he was about to scold the woman, someone else spoke up. Tanya, what is the meaning of this? It is not your place to be saying these things to the heirs of the Alexander family. Agnes spoke with authority and dignity, but everyone could tell she was furious. Tanya reluctantly turned around and forced a smile. Grandmother, let me explain. Stop. Agnes held up her hand to hush the woman. Someone has already told me what happened. I already announced it at the press conference. Adam and Amy are the successors of the Alexander family. They are the blood children of my grandson, and I have not hidden who their mother is. All of this has been already decided and made public, and yet you still can't calmly accept the truth. Agnes took a deep breath. So, are you saying my words don't matter? Are you challenging my authority and the authority of my grandson? She probed. But what I said is the truth. The two of them are indeed illegitimate children. Did I say something wrong? Tanya asked Agnes with mock innocence. Tanya thought the main branch of the Alexander family was breaking apart. They were supposed to be here today to celebrate the birthday of Logan and his two little bastards. But why were they so great? Tanya wanted to remind everyone who the mother of these so-called heirs was. Although it was Logan's seed, the mother of his children was not his wife, but some woman that he had been fooling around with 4 years ago. Even though Agnes had admitted the children to the family and made Adam and Amy its heirs, Tanya thought this was a temporary situation. What would happen in the future when Logan finally married? The status of these two children could drastically change. Why should they all bow down to them now? Tanya had decided Logan's branch of the family was too complicated. The future of the Alexander family should lie with a family with no shortcomings, a harmonious family where the parents were married and their children were healthy and happy. This type of family should be the future of the Alexander family. And as far as Tanya was concerned, finding a new branch of the family to lead the Alexanders would be easy. Tanya thought her own family would be perfect. Episode 277. Grandma Joanna. Tanya was unapologetic as she stood facing Agnes, the rest of the Alexander family watching them nervously. She didn't care that Adam had overheard her call him illegitimate. It was the truth. She believed the other members of the Alexander family had been dominated by Agnes and Logan's branch for too long. The Smith Group should be managed by someone with a better reputation than Logan, someone who wasn't cold and cruel. Tanya believed her husband, Eugene, was better equipped to run the company than Logan. Eugene shouldn't be wasting his talents crunching numbers in Smith Group's finance department, but instead should be elevated to the executive suite. Tanya was a full-fledged member of the Alexander family, and yet, when she went out to socialize, no one knew who she was. She felt that the root cause of this was Logan's dominance over the rest of them. As far as she was concerned, Logan was making bad decisions, both personally and professionally. He had been blinded by his brat's mother. Logan had even dumped Elizabeth so he could shack up with Violet. Anyone could see that Elizabeth was a much better partner for the head of the Alexander family. She was a superstar, after all. Agnes was so furious with Tanya that she almost laughed. Who did this woman think she was? Agnes was the family's matriarch, and Logan was its leader. And this is how she treated them? She acted as if the family's entire moral fiber was in jeopardy because Logan had children out of wedlock. Agnes decided they had been too good to these relatives. Tanya, Eugene, and the rest had been given so much just by virtue of their last name, and yet it still wasn't enough. Agnes looked at Tanya coldly. You judge my great-grandchildren because of the circumstances of their birth. But what does it say about you that you choose to engage in conflict with children? They are innocent, and you are a grown woman. What kind of grown woman takes out her anger on innocent children? Agnes spoke calmly, but her tone was ice cold. She didn't expect that someone would dare to be so impudent on the main residence of the Alexander family. When she finished speaking, Tanya's mother-in-law rushed over to Agnes to quickly apologize. She said her daughter-in-law's words were foolish, but she didn't have any bad intentions. However, Agnes wasn't in the mood to forgive and only turned to make her way back into the mansion, only to come face to face with Logan's mother, Joanna. There you are, Agnes. When we arrived, there were only servants inside to greet us. I didn't know where everybody was. Agnes stiffened as Joanna greeted her with air kisses to both cheeks. Joanna was immaculately made up, with not a hair out of place. She wore a fitted, peach-colored suit that hung perfectly on her statuesque figure. Her hair was cut into a fashionable long bob, which perfectly framed her face. A face that was as gorgeous as it was threatening. It was easy to see who Logan and Garrett had inherited their good looks from. Agnes had tried for years to get along with Logan's mother, but to no avail. There was just too much history and bad blood with this woman who had broken her son's heart and all but abandoned her grandson to Agnes's care. Joanna had caused problems in their family from the very beginning, and whenever Joanna popped back into their lives, trouble always followed. Adam and Amy watched this new guest greet great-grandmother with curiosity and suspicion. They thought this lady was quite beautiful, but there was something about her that made them instantly dislike her. They looked at their great-grandmother and then looked at Alex before looking back at the newcomer. Their expressions weren't very good. Who was this lady? As if she felt the twins' eyes on her, the woman turned and looked directly at the children's faces. The guests parted as she approached them. The lady reached out her hand to Adam's chin and looked at him carefully. The resemblance is remarkable, Joanna murmured to herself before removing her hand and straightening. You look so much like my son when he was this age, she remarked. Son? Adam and Amy were shocked and speechless. Could this be Daddy's mommy? Their grandmother? She looked so young and beautiful. Weren't grandmas supposed to have gray hair? Well, aren't you going to greet your grandmother? I'm your father's mother. Joanna smiled sweetly. She knew that she was beautiful. She'd always relied on her beauty to get what she wanted. Joanna figured the children would adore her at first sight. That's right, Adam, Amy, this is your grandmother, Joanna. Hurry up and greet her. You don't want to be rude. You may call her Grandma Joanna. They had all been so distracted by Joanna's sudden arrival that no one had yet noticed her companion for the evening. A woman walked up from behind Joanna, wearing a fitted wrap dress. She had on exquisite makeup, and her hair fell in gentle curls down to her waist. Who had invited Elizabeth? Adam and Amy, upon spotting her, frowned in perfect unison. They didn't like Elizabeth. The last time they had seen her, she had called Adam a liar and made him fall. No, Daddy's never mentioned her, so we won't call her that. Amy wrinkled up her nose, and the smile on Joanna's face froze. Agnes almost laughed out loud. It seemed the twins were just like their father. They had no problem putting Joanna in her place. And Agnes had thought it wasn't possible for her to love her great-grandchildren any more than she already did. These two children were simply a blessing. They could even make a visit with her former daughter-in-law less painful. Agnes caught Amy's eyes and secretly winked at her. She turned around and asked Elizabeth, "Why are you here?" Agnes frowned at Elizabeth and Joanna. "I invited Elizabeth to be my guest this evening. Her mother and I get along pretty well. It's time for my son to seriously discuss marriage. I brought Elizabeth here to get to know Logan," she explained. "Joanna, you are mistaken. I already know Logan," Elizabeth told her with a little laugh to hide her embarrassment. "Oh, then you two lovebirds can get reacquainted," Joanna said with a careless smile. Why was Joanna acting coy? Agnes wondered to herself. As Logan's mother, she was already aware of how things were between Elizabeth and Logan. Joanna for sure knew about Violet as well. What game was she playing? "That's odd," Agnes said before pausing for a moment. "I don't remember Logan saying anything about consulting you about his love life. I wasn't aware that he consulted you on anything, for that matter," Agnes taunted. Joanna waved off Agnes's remark. She was used to her being unreasonable and didn't take her attitude seriously. "I'm just giving my opinion. After all, I am Logan's mother." Joanna knew Logan didn't mention her because he felt that the care she had given him when he was young was too little. How could there be a son who didn't acknowledge his own mother? Agnes had tried to support her, having a good relationship with Logan in the past, but she'd failed. Joanna was so confident this time would be different that she'd even broke it off with her new French boyfriend to return to Los Angeles for Logan's birthday. It would be best if Elizabeth could charm Logan. If they were to marry, then Joanna would have a loyal ally inside the Alexander mansion. Then Joanna would be able to control the entire Alexander family. In any case, Logan would not marry Violet, so Joanna didn't think she needed to concern herself with these two children. They would definitely have a stepmother. Joanna looked forward to the day when she would once again be the mistress of the Alexander family. That role had been vacant too long. As if on cue, Joanna noticed Fiona standing nearby. What was she doing here? Joanna wondered. Joanna's eyes were filled with disdain as she glanced at Fiona. As far as Joanna was concerned, Fiona was useless. When Fiona saw Joanna's gaze, she quickly lowered her head in fear. Agnes wanted to kick Fiona for not sticking up for herself. Instead, with a straight face, she asked Fiona to go inside and check on the status of dinner. Joanna sneered. Fiona had always been a thorn in Joanna's side. She couldn't believe Christopher had cheated on her with this silly woman and then knocked her up. Joanna didn't care that she had also been cheating. That was besides the point. Christopher had made her look bad. Fiona wasn't nearly as pretty as she was. That was why Joanna preferred the Gardner side of the family. The Gardners gave Joanna the respect she felt she deserved, unlike Agnes, who had no problem parading Fiona in front of her. Agnes obviously preferred her dead son's mistress over his ex-wife, which to her mind was just silly. In Joanna's mind, there was no one who could compare to her. Episode 278, Guest of Honor. In Joanna's mind, there was no comparison between her and Fiona. Agnes could try to elevate the woman all she wanted, but she would never be a proper mistress for the Alexander family. As for Fiona's daughter, Joanna looked over at Anna. She was a beautiful girl. Joanna had heard that Anna was head over heels in love with her son Garrett. Maybe Anna could prove useful in the future. Apparently she would do anything Garrett asked of her. The smile on Joanna's face deepened, and she even nodded at Anna. Joanna, Elizabeth, why don't you follow me inside? Anna wanted to quickly settle this matter and thought it would be best if no one said anything else. Otherwise, when Logan showed up, things would only get worse. Anna glanced over at her mother's quickly retreating figure. It was no wonder that her grandmother thought her mother was useless. Anna knew Fiona would be of no help, so she took it upon herself to try to defuse the situation. Joanna and Elizabeth's arrival had only interrupted the scene with Tanya. It had not resolved it. Anna could still feel the tension simmering beneath the surface. All the other guests stood awkwardly, not knowing exactly what to do. Some relatives were trying to calm Tanya down so she would drop it. And now there was also Joanna to contend with, who kept saying shocking things, and Elizabeth, who clearly wasn't welcome. Anna thought the only thing that could make this situation worse would be if her brother showed up right now when they were all still arguing outside. Then I want to accompany my grandson and granddaughter. Elizabeth, the children are your cousins. You have to help Logan teach the children well. Joanna waved at the children with a bright smile. She took the initiative to express her goodwill. Joanna didn't believe that she couldn't make these two little bastards like her. But Adam and Amy just ignored her. The twins didn't care about this grandma lady. They were waiting anxiously for their parents to arrive. Luckily, they had Kit and Kat to keep them company while they waited. We don't need Elizabeth's help. The children of the Alexander family will naturally be taught by me. Their upbringing has nothing to do with the Kingston family. Agnes tightly furrowed her brows at Joanna in displeasure. Joanna spread her hands magnanimously. Shouldn't they learn from both sides of their family? Their mother won't teach them. You can't ignore the fact that you don't recognize their mommy. Great-grandmother doesn't deny mommy. It's Daddy who said that he and Mommy needed space to start a relationship. Amy's words shocked the adults. Agnes wanted to know who'd said that. Could it be a trick their parents had used to pacify the children? However, in front of Joanna, Agnes didn't want to show any weakness, so she didn't let on that this was news to her as well. Given Logan's character, I don't think he would say that. Joanna shook her head at Amy. On the contrary, I think it sounds exactly like something Logan would say. This grandson of mine has his own thoughts. Let's not bother about such a small matter. Logan knows what he's planning for himself. This is not our concern. Let the young people handle the matters of the relationship themselves. Agnes waved her hand as if Logan and Violet's relationship was of no concern to her, much to Joanna's surprise. Agnes laughed inside at the look on Joanna's face. Now, if Joanna doesn't go along with this, it would seem that she deliberately came here today to cause trouble, unlike Agnes, who now seemed open-minded and easygoing. Joanna tried to save face. She didn't want to seem like she didn't know her son. Oh, well, perhaps the children misheard it then, she stated. No. That's definitely what Daddy said. Amy is right. I heard it too. Adam wanted to help clarify so there would be no mistake. They had asked Logan and Violet why they didn't come live in the old residence with their great-grandmother too. Logan had been caught off guard and hadn't known how to answer the children, so he'd lied about the nature of his agreement with Violet. He told them that Mommy and Daddy needed privacy to start a relationship, so they couldn't live with his grandmother. The twins naturally believed him, and Violet had known he was lying. But what Violet didn't know was that although their relationship had begun as a contracted one, Logan did want to have a life with Violet now. Logan had already decided that even if he couldn't marry Violet, he wouldn't let this woman leave him. He wanted to keep her for the rest of his life. So now, the most important thing was to obtain Violet's heart and make her want the same with him. Joanna didn't say anything else to the twins. It seemed like this son of hers had everything he needed right now. He'd never wanted to get married and have children in the first place. Now that he had heirs, Logan definitely wouldn't listen to her and get married obediently. Joanna was angry when she thought of this, and she looked at the children impatiently. She had really miscalculated. Joanna had been focusing on her own pleasure overseas, neglecting what was going on back home. Now that even Agnes wasn't in a hurry to find a wife for Logan, it would be even harder for Joanna to get close to her son. She had heard from Miranda the circumstances of the twins' conception. It was truly shameless. Joanna must figure out a way to make Logan stay away from Violet. "Okay, well, enough standing around," Joanna proclaimed, as if she herself was hosting the party. "Everyone, let's go in. Such a small matter is not worth making such a big fuss about." Joanna asked everyone to go inside the house. Naturally, Tanya and the others were eager to do so. "If it's a small matter, then I'm sure you won't mind telling me about it." A deep and deceptively pleasant male voice was heard, causing everyone's heart to tremble. The guest of honor had arrived. Logan was here. The guests parted to let him walk forward. This was a devil incarnate, someone they couldn't afford to offend. "Logan has arrived," Agnes said loudly. "Why are you so late? Everyone is getting impatient and is about to start arguing." "Your mother just arrived," she exclaimed. "Oh, is that so? And I see Miss Kingston is here too." Logan grew angry inside when he saw Elizabeth. "I didn't think I had invited the Kingston family," he queried. Originally, the Kingstons hid the fact that Violet was the woman who had spent the night with him. Logan had always assumed Elizabeth's family had put her up to the lie, so he had never vented his anger on Elizabeth. But at the hotel, Elizabeth clearly knew that she had committed the same offense. What exactly was she hoping to accomplish? Logan remained calm on the surface, so Elizabeth couldn't see his attitude has changed. Did something happen between the two of them? Logan couldn't be sure, but seeing Elizabeth's demeanor and the way she looked at him, Logan thought that perhaps she hadn't succeeded. "Logan, why would you say that? Elizabeth is my invited guest. Do you want to kick your mother out too?" Joanna reproached him. "Since she is your guest, please keep an eye on her. Don't let Elizabeth disturb my children." Logan didn't fall for her tricks. His voice was cold. Joanna forced a smile, deciding that it would be best, given her son's attitude, that she foster a good relationship with his children. The boy and the girl are both good children. Elizabeth is their cousin. They like her. It's not too late to get to know each other better, right? She suggested. "My son is named Adam, and my daughter is named Amy. Mom, you should call them by their names in the future," he remarked curtly. Joanna curled her lips. "Yes, of course. Shall we all go inside now?" she said. Joanna knew her son's temper, so she could only force a smile and agree with him. Episode 279. What happened? Joanna urged the guests to head inside Alexander's mansion and forget the argument on the lawn. However, no one dared move because Logan had yet to tell them they could leave. "I need someone to tell me what happened." Logan emphasized his tone as if he was about to get angry. The adults all stood silently, none brave enough to meet Logan's eyes. No one dared to make a sound until Adam stepped forward. He slowly and carefully told his father what had happened. Adam told the truth and didn't exaggerate. However, Tanya tried to talk over him and offer her side. She said that the child had no respect for his elders and didn't have any moral character. The relatives around Tanya tried desperately to get her to be quiet, but she kept on raging. Everyone wondered why she suddenly had so much courage. Could it be that she had drunk too much? Once Adam told him what had happened, Logan was angry, but also relieved. This problem was one he had the power to solve. When he'd walked into the gathering tonight, Logan had found it very strange. Normally, the moment he got home, Adam and Amy would run and pounce on him. When there had been no such greeting, he hoped that the children hadn't taken ill or had been hurt. When he'd found the twins outside, surrounded by the rest of the Alexander family, he'd immediately known that something was wrong. Only it was not their bodies, but their feelings that had been hurt. Logan wasn't a doctor, so he couldn't cure them himself. But dealing with pushy relatives who overstepped? That was Logan's specialty. Had these people actually dared to bully Logan's children? This was unbelievable. Had they forgotten who was the head of this family? This is the Alexander family, right? I haven't entered the wrong house by mistake. Logan looked around and saw that everyone had a strange expression on their face. Their smiles were forced. He knew that these people were definitely in the wrong. Logan slightly bent down and extended his arms towards Adam and Amy. Come to Daddy, he called them. Only then did the twins throw themselves into Logan's arms. Adam and Amy talked over each other, bombarding their father with questions. What does illegitimate mean? Are we illegitimate? Were they Mommy and Daddy's children still? Why would someone think that they're inferior? Are we going to get a stepmother? The children spoke so fast and furiously that Logan could only soothe them and assure them not to worry. Whoever says things like this is not a nice person. In the future, let's not bother with such mean people, he announced. Hey, Logan, I think... Tanya tried to argue with Logan, but someone quickly covered her mouth. She struggled with all her might. The people around her tried to calm her down, but it was useless. She didn't want to live a good life. She actually dared to shout at Logan like that. Did she want to be run out of Los Angeles? What are you all so anxious about? Did I say that I was going to get married? Why are you talking to my children about a stepmother? Logan's voice was cold, and he didn't want anyone to answer him. He looked at Adam and Amy. Why didn't Uncle Mike follow you? If he was here, no one would dare to say such nonsense, he said. I'm sorry, boss. I failed at my job. Mike knew that he had dropped the ball and was prepared to face Logan's wrath. Daddy, it's not Uncle Mike's fault. I asked him to go check on great-grandmother. Because I am a man, I can take care of myself. Adam didn't want Uncle Mike to be scolded. No, that's no excuse. Daddy asked him to stay by your side today. He should not have left. These were Daddy's strict instructions, Logan informed. Okay. Adam lowered his head as Logan spoke, then peeked up at Mike apologetically. It was not the first time that Mike had been scolded by his boss. Mike was used to it. He was touched that the little guy felt bad for him. He gave Adam a wink to try to assure him it would be fine. Joanna ignored the situation with the children and again tried to get everyone to go inside. Well, since you're here now, Logan, let's go inside the house. You still have to greet the rest of the guests. I will come with you to greet them. Usually no one has the time to see you, she told him. The children still had questions for Logan, though. Daddy, this lady said that we are illegitimate children. What does that mean? Are illegitimate children bad? Why should we feel inferior? Mommy said that we are the best treasure, they both expressed. What your mommy said is correct. Logan looked at the circle of relatives standing around him. Who told them these things? Logan questioned. Joanna threw up her hands. Why are these two children going on and on? Everyone was just joking. There's no need to be serious. This is really not a big deal, she remarked. Agnes spoke up. I've already told everyone. In the future, don't talk nonsense in front of children. Let's all go inside. I think most of the guests have arrived, and dinner should be ready shortly. Agnes urged everyone to go in, not because she agreed with Joanna's assessment of the argument, but because Agnes wanted to diffuse the situation before it became even worse. Grandmother, you go inside and check on the dinner preparations. Alex, you stay here and tell me exactly what happened in detail. I want to know who said what and to whom. Despite what my mother says, this is a big deal. Unlike her, I actually care about my children's feelings, Logan scoffed. Everyone knew that Joanna had only cared about producing an heir and hadn't cared about raising her child. Her eldest son wasn't prepared to cut her any slack today. Joanna narrowed her eyes at him and glanced at Elizabeth. Logan, there's no need to take a child's word seriously. The priority right now is greeting your guests. Let's go inside. Elizabeth received Joanna's message and looked at Logan lovingly. Now that she had Joanna as her sponsor, she was more daring in front of Logan and was willing to speak up. My priority is my children, Logan said coldly, without even bothering to look at Elizabeth. Logan, this is a small matter. It is just that Tanya's joke was inappropriate. She is like this, like a child. Elizabeth tried to persuade him. When Amy saw that everyone was trying to convince Daddy that nothing bad had happened, she was worried. Would no one value their feelings because they were still children, not adults? She was disappointed for a moment. You kids, don't be unhappy. Look, Peter and the other children enjoyed playing with you. We can all be good friends. Another relative spoke up, trying to persuade the children. Amy frowned and didn't speak. She looked at Logan and curled her lips unhappily. Is Tanya an adult or a child? Logan didn't fall for this trick. Tanya had known full well what she was saying. Since she does not know how to speak, then she should stay home while she learns this lesson. Eugene, don't come to work. Stay home and teach your wife some manners for a few days. Then you can report to me on her progress, he remarked. His cousin, who had just rushed over, turned pale. Eugene glared fiercely at his wife. Tanya wasn't done yet, though. We are all members of the Alexander family, and we are all invested in the Smith Group's success. Has everyone here heard? Logan is going to be removed from his position. He can't hide everything from us forever, she yelled. Logan's eyes immediately became sharp, like a sharp sword aimed at the crowd. Episode 280. The Hard Way. Tanya was not backing down, even when Logan had warned her. We are all members of the Alexander family, and we are all invested in Smith Group's success. Has everyone heard? Logan is going to be removed from his position. He can't hide everything from us forever, she yelled. Logan's eyes immediately became sharp, like a sharp sword aimed at the crowd. Shut up, Eugene scolded. He wanted his wife to stop talking. When he had married Tanya, he had admired her fierceness. He'd figured that in the future, if there were anything that he needed to fight for, he would let his wife do it. However, he hadn't expected Tanya to be so foolish as to take on Logan. No, Eugene, I won't shut up. You are too big of a coward to say anything, so let me say it, Tanya continued. Does everyone know here that a lot of people in the Smith Group don't support Logan anymore? It's because he decides everything himself. He doesn't listen to anyone else. He only promotes those who are close to him and suppresses the other Alexander family members and Smith Group's old directors. Right now, the Smith Group's employees are unsettled because of him." Tanya shouted without caring about anything. Logan smiled coldly. He knew very well about the current situation in the Smith Group. Eugene had probably had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations with the old director. Logan's cousin had obviously chosen a side other than his own. Logan held Adam's hand and stood up, stopping Alex, who had been about to speak. "So previously you were criticizing me and complaining that I needed to get married and have children because the Alexander family didn't have any heirs. Now that I have 2 children, you are criticizing them and how I run the Smith Group's business. When did my personality become so easygoing that it gave you the impression that you can bully me as you wish?" Logan asked. "We weren't bullying you, Logan," Tanya said, looking as if it was her who had been wronged. "We were just telling the truth," she added. "Tanya, shut up." Eugene was getting nervous. In the end, he scolded his wife, but he didn't apologize. His words made the other guests curious. Was what that woman said true or false? Could it be that the Smith Group was really on the verge of a crisis? "I think if you are so unhappy with everything I'm doing, then you should leave. This is supposed to be a birthday celebration. My children are the Alexander family's heirs. It's not your place to criticize them." Logan shook his head and sighed. "Mike, do it," he ordered. Tanya wanted to say something else, but was pulled to the side by her mother-in-law. Mike came up to escort Tanya out, and only then did Eugene quickly apologize to Logan. He said that his wife was acting foolishly and talking nonsense. His family wanted to thank him for his kindness and wish him a happy birthday. Eugene told Logan that his children were really too cute and that they looked exactly the same as their father. But Logan wasn't buying it. "It's too late. Go home and teach your wife how to conduct herself in the future. She has much to learn. Eugene, you can return to work in a week. I will tell the finance department that you need to take some personal leave to deal with a family matter. Unpaid leave, of course. Didn't Tanya say that I don't consider my employees' feelings? I'll improve now by giving you time to get yourself together," he told him. Agnes murmured quietly to Logan that was enough and to now drop it. Logan held Amy in his arms. Alex held Adam's hand, and the 2 dogs followed behind them. Only then did Logan finally walk into the house. Mike escorted Logan's cousins out to their car. Eugene and Tanya naturally couldn't stay any longer. They took their things and their reluctant children, who wanted to play with Adam and Amy, and left. Eugene's parents reluctantly followed them out. Agnes didn't dare complain too much to Logan. If Eugene and his wife crossed Logan again, no one knew what he would do. Hopefully, with some free time for a few days, Eugene would wise up and apologize. Then he should be able to resume his post. Although their family's surname was also Alexander, Eugene's family couldn't be compared to Logan's branch of the family. They were wealthy, but not like Logan. If Eugene were to lose his salary, the loss of income would definitely impact their lives. Eugene and Tanya began arguing as soon as they got in their car and pulled out of the old residence's driveway onto the road. They screamed and shouted at one another, only pausing long enough to notice another car waiting for the red light at the intersection down the street. It looked like Logan's Maybach. Eugene recognized the rare vehicle. Why are these guests arriving so late? Eugene looked closer and saw that the driver was Henry. Could Logan have sent his driver to pick up another guest? Tanya asked what he was talking about. The light changed to green. Eugene started to turn left, and the Maybach drove straight. It seemed like the car was going to the old residence. Following his gaze, his wife also watched the car drive off. Tanya scowled. It has nothing to do with us. We are just poor relatives. They deliberately chased us away so that the head of the family wouldn't lose face, she said. Tanya, will you shut up already? If you don't know how to speak, then don't open your mouth. You are going to destroy Eugene's future. Tanya's father-in-law said, his first sentence of the entire night, then closed his eyes and rested. For a moment, the car became quiet. Fortunately, Tanya didn't know that it was Violet in the Maybach. Otherwise, she would have exploded in anger. The matter was finally settled. Grandmother whispered to him that he had been a little unreasonable. But Logan didn't care. Today was his and the children's birthday. Logan wasn't going to let these relatives spoil the celebration. Everyone naturally followed Logan's lead and accepted his decision. No one came to Eugene's family's defense. They were afraid that they would be implicated. There was some quiet gossip that when Tanya was chased away, she still had a face full of dissatisfaction. Although her mouth was quiet, the expression on her face couldn't be considered friendly. However, no one cared about her attitude anymore. Some of the other relatives commented that it seemed like Logan attached great importance to his two children. In the future, Tanya would need to keep her mouth shut, or risk Logan cutting off her family. She couldn't continue to speak nonsense about illegitimate children. Adam and Amy had been recognized by Agnes as the family's heirs, and even if Logan marries another woman one day, it won't affect the status of the children. Some people thought about this, but there were also other relatives who thought that they didn't know what kind of woman Logan would marry in the future. Would Logan's future wife be able to accept his children? Joanna had brought Elizabeth with her to the party. If this Elizabeth were to marry into the family, well, with the grudge between Violet and the Kingston family, would Elizabeth treat Adam and Amy well? It was hard to say. For a moment, everyone was curious about Logan's attitude towards Elizabeth. It was Logan's birthday, but Violet hadn't come. Elizabeth came instead. Was it because Violet wasn't accepted by Agnes? If true, then some thought Elizabeth had the current advantage. Adam and Amy weren't thinking about this. They were just relieved that Daddy had chased away that mean cousin lady. They knew their feelings were really important to Daddy, and this made them happy. When they went inside the mansion, Mike took them to wash their hands. Adam was still unhappy because he had gotten Uncle Mike in trouble. His little face was tense. When Mike asked him what was wrong, Adam just shook his head and didn't reply. He was embarrassed. Hey, buddy, you can tell me anything. What's wrong, Adam? Are you unhappy? Mike tried again to get Adam to talk. Uncle Mike, I'm sorry. It was all because of me that you got scolded today by Daddy. Adam looked like he was about to cry. Ah, don't worry about me, little man. Uncle Mike can take care of himself. Besides, sometimes in life you have to learn lessons the hard way. That's how you grow wiser. Mike smiled at Adam and tousled his hair affectionately. Adam was relieved Mike wasn't mad at him. Adam wondered if Cousin Tanya had learned a lesson tonight as well. She certainly had gone about it the hard way, after all. Episode 281. Where's Violet? Logan greeted his family and friends, who were there as guests, and ignored his mother and her questions. Joanna just wanted to know more about his relationship with Violet, and Logan had no intention of telling her anything about it. As far as Logan was concerned, their relationship was none of his mother's business. In any case, he didn't think that Joanna would like Violet. Otherwise, why would she bring Elizabeth this evening? It was simply a provocation. Adam went to find Logan and begged him not to punish Uncle Mike. It was clearly not Uncle Mike's fault. Daddy, can you please not punish him? I beg you. Daddy! It was rare to see Adam acting like a spoiled child. Logan felt like his heart was about to melt. Why was this child so kind? Violet had taught the children well. Fine, okay. Since it's our birthday, I will listen to you. Today, you are a birthday star. Logan gave in and said he wouldn't punish Mike. Adam immediately cheered and couldn't wait to tell Uncle Mike about this good news. Today, Daddy is also a birthday star. Happy birthday, Daddy, Adam shouted, giving his father a huge hug. Yes, we are all birthday stars. Now we just need your mommy to be here to celebrate with us. I wonder where she is. Logan was a little anxious that Violet hadn't shown up yet, but the children seemed unconcerned. They were confident their mommy would never miss their birthday. Logan hoped they were right. He was worried Violet would be too nervous and cancel at the last minute. Adam and Amy had decided to ignore what their relatives and that Elizabeth had said. They knew they were both wrong. They thought that Daddy and Mommy's relationship was very good. Those ladies didn't know anything at all. Daddy and Mommy clearly didn't stay with them because they were too busy with work and starting their relationship. They still made time to see Adam and Amy wherever they could, and had even taken them to school together. Mommy will definitely come and scold Daddy for thinking she wouldn't come, Amy told Logan. What does Adam think? Logan asked his son. I think she will come. Mommy will be here soon, Adam agreed with his sister happily. Okay, then we'll wait a little longer, Logan agreed. Let's go find Anna and see if she knows where the good chocolate is. We can't be hungry while we wait, he stated. Alex followed behind Agnes as she circled the room greeting their guests. He would occasionally glance over at Joanna and Elizabeth. Alex was afraid that their arrival would make Logan and the others feel uncomfortable. After all, Elizabeth's mother, Miranda, was embroiled in a lawsuit with Violet. She had even announced that the twins were uncultured and wanted to bring them back to live with the Kingston family. It would be strange if Adam and Amy liked Elizabeth. And then there was Joanna, who had not changed at all. She was still the same as before, willful and unruly. Nothing had softened Logan's attitude towards his mother. It seemed that only Violet could get along with Logan. Recently, Alex had noticed some big changes in Logan. He smiled more and seemed more settled than before, although he could still be ruthless and harsh. With his family, Logan was far less cold and distant than he'd been before. Up until now, Alex had not commented much on the relationship between Logan and Violet. However, now, Alex thought that if he could help, he should help. Given Logan's temperament, he didn't know if he would be able to find another woman he wanted to take as his wife. It wasn't completely impossible for him to marry Violet. After all, Logan was so stubborn. Agnes might not be able to talk him out of it if Logan made up his mind that Violet was the only one for him. Alex thought it was a mistake to not invite Violet to come today. He knew the children would likely be upset and even throw a tantrum. It would simply be a lose-lose situation. Agnes would probably blame all of this on Violet. That would be even more of a loss. Alex asked Agnes again why she hadn't invited Violet to come to today's celebration. After all, she is the mother of the children, Alex told her. Look at that Joanna. She's Logan's mother, and her presence here today is anything but useful. Not all mothers do the best thing for their children, Agnes sniffed. That's different. Violet and Joanna are very different women. One is competitive and loves attention. The other is patient and modest. Don't tell me you haven't noticed the differences between them. Alex raised his eyebrows at her. Why do you have to go against me? Agnes sounded unhappy. I am thinking of you. Can't you tell? You're old, and you should try to be a little less angry. Didn't you tell me you were ready to relax and let go? That you wanted to enjoy life more now that the Alexander family no longer needed to worry about having their heirs? Alex said with a smile. I am not as old as you, Agnes snapped, but couldn't help but smile at her dear friend. All right, fine. I'm ancient, and you are old. Better? Alex chuckled. That's more like it. Agnes smiled, satisfied. She shook her head. I know you're being kind, but for these matters, we still have to be careful. That's where the lesson comes from, she remarked. In the past, she had indulged Christopher and Joanna too much. That was why Joanna had felt entitled to cause an embarrassing situation in the future. Agnes definitely wouldn't let history repeat itself. Alex knew that he wouldn't be able to convince her about Violet in one conversation. But judging from Agnes's attitude, he thought there was still room for negotiation. He didn't want to be too hasty. Alex had to take his time to plan. There would always be a way. After what happened just now, no one dared to complain about the status of the two children anymore. Only then did Agnes feel relieved. It seemed like there wouldn't be any more trouble at today's birthday party. Agnes watched Joanna and Elizabeth work the room. They were active and friendly to all the relatives of the Alexander family, as if they were the ones hosting the evening. Agnes sighed and looked at Fiona, who was much more disciplined in comparison, but that wasn't saying much. Then she looked at Anna, who only cared about talking to her friend Mina, and frowned even more. She didn't look like a miss of the Alexander family at all either. Agnes couldn't let Fiona's daughter grow up to be as useless as her mother. One day soon, Logan would need to bring Anna to work at the company and see how the business was run. She definitely couldn't be a flower in a greenhouse. Even if Anna wasn't much help to him, as his sister, it would be good for her to have a better understanding of her brother. Furthermore, since the Alexander family had raised Anna up, she naturally had to make some contributions. Her mother was useless. She couldn't let her daughter follow in her footsteps. Today, Joanna brought Elizabeth to visit. Agnes was not a fan of Elizabeth's and didn't trust anyone who allied themselves with Logan's mother. Agnes definitely couldn't let her enter the Alexander family. Elizabeth, and that mother of hers, were clearly not good people. Although Logan had always been successful in the business world, he had not been in many relationships. Agnes definitely wouldn't let her own grandson be played by gold diggers. Agnes watched Joanna and Elizabeth flit around the Alexander mansion as if they were already its mistresses. There was no way Agnes would ever let that happen. Episode 282. Distinguished Guest. Elizabeth followed Joanna around the Alexanders' mansion, fantasizing that someday she would be the queen of this domain. The idea of that made her feel like she was simply floating. She looked over at Logan, who was sitting and talking to Adam and Amy. Elizabeth leaned close to Joanna's ear as she said something. Not long after, Joanna put down the wine glass in her hand and apologized to everyone around her before walking to her son's side. Logan, Mommy hasn't seen you for a long time. Don't you want to chat with your mother? How can you keep talking to children during a birthday party? You need to greet your guests and come socialize with the adults, my dear. Joanna approached him. Adam, Amy, come over to me. Don't bother Daddy anymore. Elizabeth waved at the children. Amy looked at her and then, completely ignoring her, turned back around. Amy hugged Logan's neck and nestled further into her father's lap, saying as clearly as if she'd spoken out loud that she wasn't going anywhere. Elizabeth was so angry that she almost couldn't hold back her temper. We want to stay with Daddy. We don't want to have anything to do with you, Adam told her. The children were not afraid of Elizabeth. They were even less afraid of Joanna. How can this child be so rude? He has a sharp tongue, Joanna snapped. Be careful what you say, Mother. They have a quarter of your bloodline, Logan sneered. Logan felt strangely free tonight, as if he no longer had to pretend. He didn't have to listen or be nice and polite to this woman just because he was her son. She had done nothing to deserve his respect, and he could even fight back if he wanted. His sharp tongue definitely didn't come from my bloodline, Joanna sniffed. Yes, I completely agree with you, Mother. My children are nothing like you. They are not self-absorbed and selfish. Logan mercilessly mocked her. Elizabeth gasped and stared at Logan, covering her mouth in disbelief. Logan, how can you say that? Elizabeth began, but he cut her off. Elizabeth, you have no right to speak here. Be quiet or get out. Logan looked at her coldly. He had also decided he didn't need to pretend with Elizabeth anymore. He did not want Violet to find out what had or hadn't happened between him and Elizabeth in the hotel room. If Violet found out, he would have to explain that Elizabeth was the one playing tricks. When payback comes, don't blame him for being ruthless. Logan, when did you become like this? Is it because of the mother of these children? Joanna figured that his behavior must be because of Violet's influence. It was easy to imagine what kind of woman she was. Even if it were not for her own interests, Joanna would never allow such a woman to get close to Logan. Turning to Amy, Joanna began, Young lady. She wanted her to get off Logan's lap, but her son cut her off. Her name is Amy. Logan corrected her. He didn't have any feelings for his mother and didn't want to pretend that he did. He was unhappy Joanna had shown up to their birthday party tonight, and even more unhappy she'd brought Elizabeth with her. Logan simply had no use for her anymore. His affection for his mother had died a long time ago. All right, Amy, you should know that your daddy is the head of the Alexander family. He definitely needs to greet his guests. Children don't understand these adult matters. Why don't you and Adam go and play with Alex so your father can lend us a hand? Elizabeth tried again. No. Amy hugged Logan's neck and didn't let go. Adam pursed his lips. Daddy said that he would wait for Mommy with us. So, sorry, we cannot lend Daddy to you, he said. Do you two really think that your Mommy is coming tonight? Your great-grandmother will never allow that, Joanna scoffed. Shut up. What right do you have to speak for grandmother? Logan asked her coldly. Logan, how can you say that? Joanna is your mother. Elizabeth widened her eyes again. Oh, now she remembers that she's my mother. I almost forgot whose son I am. I wonder whose fault that is, Logan sneered. Today is your birthday, so don't say such depressing things. Can't you get along well with me? Joanna was shocked. She felt that her son had changed. Logan had become even more confident and fearless than he'd been before. In the past, Logan had been a little resentful of his mother, but he'd also blamed himself for not having been enough for her. In the past, Joanna could still feel her son's longing for her, but now that resentment was gone, replaced with his total indifference, bordering on hostility. He was like a stranger who wanted nothing to do with her. What caused him to have such a change? Could it be these two little bastards in front of her? Also, I will say it again. Today is my birthday, and it's the first time these two kids are celebrating their birthday as members of the Alexander family. They are the most important people here. As for their mother, of course, she will be here. Logan stood up from the sofa and held Amy in his arms. He reached out and pulled Adam's hand. Let's go and meet your mommy. Mike, go see if Miss Kingston is here, he instructed. Logan heard the sound of cars parking outside. All the other guests had already arrived. It must be Violet and their friends. Elizabeth was shocked to hear that Violet was there. Agnes had said that Violet wouldn't be recognized by the Alexander family. Agnes has said she wouldn't let her take a step inside the Alexander family mansion. Was Violet really going to challenge Agnes on this? Joanna rushed over to Agnes. Agnes, didn't you say that Violet wouldn't be recognized by the Alexander family? Why is she here then? How come she thinks she can just show up uninvited? She asked. Violet's here? Agnes frowned, and Joanna smiled in triumph. Agnes could tell Joanna was waiting for her to scold Violet, to embarrass and humiliate her in front of the whole Alexander family, then kick Violet out. However, Joanna would have to keep waiting. Agnes was unhappy at the news of Violet's arrival, but she wasn't going to give Joanna the satisfaction of letting her know that. Agnes looked at Joanna's smug face and thought of how she was trying to use her power to push Elizabeth onto Logan. And suddenly, Agnes felt that Violet wasn't as annoying anymore. Agnes raised her chin and said haughtily, "Right now, your son is the one in charge of the Alexander family. If Logan asks someone to come over, no one will dare to disobey him." This was pushing the responsibility onto Logan. Agnes would worry later about the implication of Violet being here. Right now, it was Joanna who needed to be put in her place. Agnes continued, "Violet is the children's mother. No matter what, our Alexander family still has this bit of humanity. Joanna, look at you and Elizabeth. Didn't you both show up unannounced? Besides, Violet was personally invited by Logan and is his distinguished guest." Agnes smiled serenely as she finished, but it was all she could do and not laugh at the look on Joanna's face. Distinguished guest. Ha! This was the first time in all these years that Agnes had said something that made Joanna speechless. Agnes decided dealing with Joanna wasn't as difficult as she thought it would be. In the past, Agnes had thought too highly of her. But in fact, she was nothing special. Agnes informed Alex, "Go quickly and see if it's her. When all the guests are here, we'll be able to finally take our seats for dinner." Agnes put a little impatience in her tone as it fit her character and her impression of Violet. If she was too nice, Joanna might grow suspicious. Adam and Amy saw that great-grandmother had spoken, so they cheered and called out, "Long live great-grandmother!" Amy struggled out of Logan's arms and ran to great-grandmother's side. Agnes bent down and kissed her great-granddaughter's cheeks. Agnes was smiling so hard that her cheeks hurt. Episode 283. Violet enters the Alexander's mansion. Hearing that Agnes had no problem with Violet coming into the old mansion for the kid's birthday, Amy ran to great-grandmother's side. Agnes bent down and kissed her great-granddaughter's cheek. "I knew great-grandmother would be the best and invite Mommy." Amy's mouth was sweeter than honey, and she gave Agnes a big kiss on the cheek. "Of course Mommy is here, sweetheart. Now hurry up and go get your mother. Great-grandmother is waiting." "Sit beside me later," Agnes told her. "Okay." Amy nodded heavily and dragged Adam out into the courtyard. They took off running. Outside, Violet and the others had already gotten out of the car and were walking towards the main entrance. The lamps in the Alexander family's courtyard were all turned on. The house twinkled in the darkness, and the fragrance of the flowers and trees filled the air. Violet gripped Haley's hand and took a deep breath. She was nervous, and her palms were slightly sweaty, even though the night air was cool. "Don't be nervous, Violet. You are not inferior to anyone here," Haley encouraged. "You are better looking and better dressed than any celebrity. You are the heir of the Kingston group. What are you afraid of? You are the pride of Adam and Amy. They have been waiting for you for a long time," she added. "Really? You think so?" Although Adam and Amy knew that Violet loved them, they were still children. It was inevitable that they could be led astray by others. She was quite afraid that Agnes would say something to the children and make them doubt Violet's love for them. Violet's biggest fear was that the twins would hear Agnes say that she only gave birth to them just to get close to Logan, that they had just been a tool for her to land a wealthy man, which couldn't be further from the truth. She didn't want Adam and Amy to ever think that they had been unwanted or were unloved. Yes, of course. Adam and Amy love you more than anything and miss you. Haley was full of confidence. In fact, here they come now. Noah gently hugged Haley's shoulder. He had spotted the twins and pointed out the children running towards them. Noah smiled. They look like they've missed you to me, Violet. Don't be nervous, he said. Adam and Amy were getting closer and closer. It had been a few days since they last saw each other, and Violet's longing for them was no less than that of the children's for her. The twins threw themselves into Violet's arms, nearly knocking her over. Violet hugged them both and caressed their hair. Mommy misses you so much, she told them. We also miss Mommy too. Why is Mommy only here now? We've been waiting for you for a long time. It was rare for Adam to act like a spoiled child. He looked at Violet, feeling wronged. His long lashes flickered. Well, were you only waiting for your mommy? Don't you want to see your godfather and godmother too? Haley smiled as Amy quickly rushed over and hugged her legs. Godfather! Adam shouted as he launched himself at Noah. Have you guys been good? Noah smiled gently as the twins switched places and Amy gave him a huge hug and Adam did the same to Haley. Logan watched the children greet Noah and Haley, but was having a hard time taking his eyes off Violet. Has she ever looked more stunning? All right, stop dawdling outside. Hurry up and come in. We've been waiting forever for you guys to show up, and we're hungry. Logan spoke to them, but his eyes were only looking at Violet. He stared at her mercilessly, making people's faces turn red and their hearts beat faster. Are you crazy? Why are you looking at me like that? You shouldn't do that here. Violet blushed as she secretly complained in a low voice. Logan reached out and pulled her to him. Violet was shocked and quickly tried to move away. She looked around flustered and heaved a sigh of relief when she didn't see Agnes. It's already dinner time? Lead the way, Noah smiled. You're just excited because you heard they were serving crab. That's all you talked about the whole drive over. Haley rolled her eyes at him. Everyone, Violet, Noah, and Haley, please come in. Alex had received Agnes's permission to come and greet the guests. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Violet. Alex couldn't help but sigh that this Violet was really someone who should be treated differently. Her temperament was so refined and gentle, and she looked even more beautiful each time he saw her. Compared to Joanna, she was not the slightest bit inferior. It was just that one woman was frivolous, and the other was graceful. One was flamboyant, and the other was elegant. Violet was beautiful but modest and didn't act like she was better than anyone else. Alex thought that Elizabeth really couldn't be compared. It was probably just that her reputation was a little better than Violet's. But the Alexander family didn't care much about external reputations. Besides, who's to say that those things couldn't be manipulated? Logan and Violet didn't really care about their undeserved reputations. Otherwise, the two of them wouldn't have stayed together for so long without quarreling about this. Zoe and Lee had personally proved it. So this is the famous Violet. Violet was in the midst of socializing with people surrounding her when she suddenly heard someone call out her name. She looked up and saw a beautiful woman who she didn't know. It was hard to tell her age. Elizabeth was following behind her. Why was Elizabeth here? Violet wondered. The woman must be a relative of the Alexander family, some ally of Elizabeth's, perhaps. Elizabeth had been leaving Logan alone lately. Had she just been waiting to find someone who could influence Logan before pestering him again? Upon looking closer, Violet thought this woman wasn't as young as she'd first thought. Wait, this couldn't be. I'm Logan's mother. Just call me Joanna. Violet's lack of response made Joanna unhappy. Her intuition told her that this woman was not easy to control. You don't need to call her anything, or even talk to her, Violet. Logan interrupted Joanna. He didn't want Violet to get close to his mother. Violet's eyelashes drooped. She guessed that Logan felt that she was not worthy to be in close contact with his mother. It made her heart hurt a little. It was as if she had been slapped. She felt a little sad, but she quickly put on a smile and prepared to greet the woman. "Son, what do you mean? What's wrong? Do you have to make things difficult for your mother at every turn? Why can't you be more like Garrett?" Joanna pouted. "Joanna, Logan is just joking. Don't be angry." Elizabeth quickly tried to remedy the situation. If Joanna got angry and left the party, what would Elizabeth do? Also, as Logan's mother, how could she compare her sons and say that Logan was not as good as Garrett? Elizabeth thought this was just asking for trouble. Violet didn't understand what was happening and remained silent. She lowered her head and spoke to the children. Seeking to break up the tension, Noah turned to Logan's grandmother. "Agnes, I'm starving. I heard you were serving crab. You must have known it was my favorite, and it's not even my birthday we're celebrating," he exclaimed. No one knew that Logan and his mother didn't have a good relationship, so he pretended not to notice what was going on. Episode 284. Prove It. Agnes smiled at Noah with appreciation. His questions about dinner had distracted the other guests from the awkwardness between Logan and his mother. "Yes, of course, Noah. We had stone crab claws flown in from Florida just this morning. You must eat as many as you wish. Dinner is ready. We all just need to take our seats in the dining room." Agnes clapped her hands to get the other guests' attention. "Come, everyone, let's be seated. Dinner is about to be served. Adam, Amy, come and sit with great-grandmother," she stated. "Great-grandmother, we want to sit with Mommy," Amy pouted. "Oh, I see how it is. When you see your mommy, you throw great-grandmother over," Agnes responded as she pretended to be angry. She didn't like Violet, but Agnes had decided not to let Violet bother her tonight. Her presence was making Joanna suffer, and for that reason alone, Violet was welcome here tonight. Agnes was in a good mood today. She had decided Violet wasn't as annoying when compared to Joanna and Elizabeth. "Then we should all sit together," Agnes threw out casually, as if she didn't remember her words and actions of the past, as if she had never expressed her deep disgust towards Violet. Everyone was speechless. Hadn't Agnes said that she didn't like this Violet? Why is she inviting her to sit at the head of the table with her? "Recently, I have been really soft-hearted. My heart is kind and benevolent," Joanna mocked under her breath. But Agnes still heard. "The fact that you and Elizabeth are still here is evidence enough that I am kind and benevolent," she clapped back. Agnes found herself caring less and less about what Joanna thought. Joanna went to the head of the table and sat down. It was her son's birthday. She should definitely be seated in a place of honor. Logan was on Agnes's left, while the twins were on her right, next to Violet. Joanna pushed Elizabeth to go sit beside Logan. Seeing this, Logan stood up, ready to change his seat. However, Fiona and her daughter Anna sat down on Violet's other side. "Sit down, Logan. Where is your gentlemanly demeanor? Why are you embarrassing us in front of everyone?" Joanna narrowed her eyes. Her beautiful eyes sparked. Hers was a sharp kind of beauty. Elizabeth was very envious of Joanna's type of beauty. Who wouldn't be envious? If Joanna's face belonged to Elizabeth, then her life would be so much easier. Elizabeth looked over at Violet and saw that Violet wasn't paying any attention to them. Instead, she was only lowering her head to listen and talk to her children. Elizabeth coldly sniffed. What was she pretending for? Sooner or later, Elizabeth would make Violet kneel in front of her and beg for forgiveness. "I don't have to embarrass you, Mother. You are doing a fine job of doing that all on your own." Logan's face was cold as he replied to Joanna. He no longer cared what his mother thought of him. "I am your mother, and you are being rude to my guest Elizabeth," she hissed at him. "So what?" Logan shrugged his shoulders. "I have the right to ask about your marriage," Joanna sniffed as if wounded. In other words, Logan thought cynically, Joanna has decided Elizabeth and Logan should get married. Not happening. "Today is my birthday, and if I forgot to tell you, my children's birthday as well. I will sit wherever I want," Logan said with a cold face. Everyone was quietly watching this scene unfold, but they didn't dare to speak. No one wanted to become the next target of Logan's temper. "Forget it, Logan. You are sitting there so you can sit next to me. Who's on your other side doesn't matter. It's rare for your mother to be here. Just treat this as your filial piety and listen to her. Do it as a favor for me," Agnes lazily advised him. The more she acted like this, the angrier Joanna got. She kept feeling that Agnes was looking down on her more and more. Logan looked at Elizabeth, who had her head lowered with a stern face. Eating by her was one thing, but dating was impossible. In the end, Logan didn't want to make things too difficult for his grandmother. He sat down and glanced at his watch. "What? Are you expecting more guests?" Agnes asked him in a low voice. "It's fine. It's almost time to serve the meal," he replied. Everyone was hungry, especially after all the drama and excitement of the evening so far. While the waiters served the dishes, Violet chatted with the children and even asked if they had been good and listening to their great-grandmother. Overhearing this, Agnes appreciated that Violet still respected her in front of the children. Once again, she felt a little less angry with Violet. Haley and Noah were sitting at the table behind them. Occasionally, they would turn around and talk to Violet. Once dinner had been served, everyone dove in. Not long after the meal began, there was the sound of a car parking outside. Agnes looked through the glass doors and saw Mary opening the front door. It was Corey. Mary took his coat while Corey shuffled the items in his hands. "I knew it. Corey wouldn't miss the celebration. What was he doing for you that he's so late?" Agnes asked Logan. "Grandmother, you will find out soon enough where Corey has been." As Logan spoke, he glanced at Violet. She seemed to be in high spirits as she talked animatedly with Adam and Amy. "Grandmother, I'm very happy tonight," Logan said, with a touch of a smile on his usually stern face. Agnes knew that what Logan meant was that he was very happy because Violet was there tonight. "I can see that you are in a good mood as well, but I don't think I know what you're trying to do. It's impossible." Agnes wasn't stupid. She knew what her grandson was up to. He was trying to make Agnes fall in love with Violet, but this would never happen. This kind of scheming woman cannot be the Alexander family's granddaughter-in-law. Furthermore, the woman who sold her body in exchange for wealth and fame is looked down upon. Agnes had sworn long ago to never let her grandson walk the same path as her son. "Don't forget your father," Agnes warned him in a low voice. "Grandmother," Logan hissed. The two of them whispered heatedly, and Logan's face immediately darkened. "I'm doing this for your own good, Logan. Unless you have a way to prove that you will be happy, this is impossible." Agnes raised her head and looked coldly at Violet. If she wanted to be the granddaughter-in-law of the Alexander family, then she would have to prove that she was worthy. "Is that so? I just have to prove it to you." Logan raised his eyebrows at her. He neither admitted nor denied that he was trying to convince her. He just smiled and said, "You will see, grandmother." Corey walked into the dining room at that moment. He quickly ran over and smiled as he handed the things in his hands to Logan. "It's done, Logan," he said. Go and sit. It's getting late. Are you hungry? Agnes asked with concern. I'm fine. I'm not hungry. Of course, work is more important. I haven't wished Adam and Amy a happy birthday yet. This is a little token of my appreciation. Corey didn't know what to buy, so he gave the twins gift cards. Thank you, Uncle Corey. The children were very happy. They loved to go shopping with gift cards. You're welcome. Corey smiled at the children. Noah and Haley waved for Corey to come sit down with them. Once he sat down, Haley asked him what mysterious errand he had been on for his boss. I was preparing Adam and Amy's birthday gifts from the boss. Corey lowered his voice further. I can't wait for everyone to see what he got them, he remarked excitedly. Episode 285. Logan shares his gift. When Corey told Noah and Haley that he'd been late to dinner because he'd been preparing Logan's birthday presents for the twins, their curiosity was immediately aroused. When they heard Logan's voice asking for everyone's attention, they all turned around to look at Logan's table. I want to thank you all for coming here this evening. I won't take up much of your time, but I have an announcement I'd like to make. Everyone in the room had given Logan their full attention and was listening attentively. This is a very special birthday for me, as it's the first I'm celebrating with my children, Adam and Amy. This is our first birthday together, but it won't be our last. I miss the first few years of their lives, but I don't plan on missing a minute more. Tonight, I wanted to give them a birthday gift that reflects my commitment to them as both their father and the head of the Alexander family. As Logan paused to retrieve a large document off the table, a pin drop could have been heard in the now silent room. I hold 50% of the Smith Group's shares in my possession. I have had a document prepared to transfer 10% of my shares to my son, Adam Alexander, and another 10% will be given to my daughter, Amy Alexander, he announced. You can't do this. Before Agnes or anyone else could say anything, Joanna stood up. This is too childish, Logan. If you do this, it will affect the company, she blurted out. What will it affect? I am free to do what I wish with my own shares. This won't affect the company. I will still hold the controlling interest in Smith Group, and I will continue to manage it, he stated. But the children are so young. There's no need to rush to this. Joanna was flustered. She wanted Logan to marry and have children, but she wanted it to be a wife Joanna could control. How could he give so much to Violet's children? If Logan gave it away now, it wouldn't be easy to take it back in the future. Tom and Noah were whispering to one another. Haley leaned in to hear what they were saying. They were gossiping about Joanna's character. They were speculating why Joanna would react so strongly. I will let everyone get back to their meals in a moment, but please know that these gifts are my acknowledgement of Adam and Amy's permanent place inside the Alexander family. No matter what the future holds, Adam and Amy will be a part of it, Logan announced seriously. Logan looked around the room as he finished. His gift tonight was Logan's way of protecting the children. He didn't want them bullied or for the public to use the circumstances of their birth to suppress them. Now, with the support of these shares, Adam and Amy would be legitimized and could take their place among the top heirs in the country. Logan wanted everyone to know just how much importance he attached to his children. Agnes didn't say anything, as she agreed with Logan's actions. Joanna, however, was so angry that she could barely contain herself. Violet, that bitch, what had she done to win this kind of loyalty from Logan? He was even willing to share his Smith Group's shares with her brats? Logan had always been very cautious and would never trust anyone. But by putting the shares in the children's hands, he was trusting Violet. They were still very young. If something happened to Logan, Violet would be in control of these shares as the children's guardian. Logan, you are too careless. His mother still didn't agree. I have my own considerations. You don't have to worry. Logan smiled and looked at Joanna. There was a different meaning in his eyes. Today is your birthday. Is this how you talk to your mother? Joanna was upset. This evening had not gone as she had planned, at all. I'm not your child anymore, Mother. I can make decisions on my own. I don't need to consult you or ask my mommy's permission. Frankly, I don't care what you think. I have to think of Adam and Amy and ensure their future is secure. Logan had made his decision, and it was final. But their mother is not the granddaughter-in-law of the Alexander family. Joanna stared at him, unwilling to let it go. It's better than you treating me like I was nothing since I was young. Logan lowered his voice, a smile on his face, but his eyes were filled with coldness. He looked directly at Joanna. If you don't want to wish the children and me a happy birthday, you can leave now. I don't think grandmother will have any objections, he sneered. Joanna took a deep breath and wanted to say something else. Elizabeth gently touched her arm and whispered to her. Joanna didn't say anything more. Since apparently we're doing gifts now, I also have prepared a gift for Logan and the children. Violet stood. She was more soft-spoken than Logan, but she immediately had everyone's attention. Do you guys not want everyone to eat? Joanna couldn't stand it anymore. In the past, she was the center of attention wherever she went. Today, in the Alexander family, Joanna had been treated badly by that old witch Agnes, and her son didn't listen to her, and even Violet, who should have tried to please her, had turned a blind eye to her. Joanna was frustrated and angry and in a very foul mood. Violet? You too? If you have something to say, say it later, Elizabeth reproached her. Everyone has been waiting for a long time to eat. You arrived late. Everyone is hungry, she scowled. No, let her speak. I, for one, am dying to see what the gift is, Tom called out. The rest of the room called out, yes, and nodded their heads in agreement. The guests were hungry, but they were even more curious. What kind of gift would Violet give Logan and the children? Everyone wanted to know and ignored Elizabeth's comments. Besides, this was the mother of Logan's children, and no one else dared say anything negative with him looking on. This will only take a moment, Violet continued, smiling shyly. She had wanted to look cool and elegant, but when she smiled like this, it was like a warm spring flower blooming, melting ice and snow. The room was charmed. Beautiful, Logan murmured in a low voice. His ambiguous tone made Elizabeth's jealousy burn, but there was nothing she could do about it. Okay, I know if I don't say this now, I'm afraid I won't get it out. Violet lowered her head in embarrassment and then took out a file from the bag behind her. Violet only acted as if she didn't hear what Joanna and Elizabeth said. Ignoring them, she looked towards Logan and Agnes, seeking their permission to continue. Noah and Haley looked at each other and smiled. Violet's temper was like this. She looked so weak, as if she could be blown away by the wind. But whatever she wanted to do, and whatever she wanted to say, she would definitely do it. Violet wouldn't back down just because of a few words from others. She was very tough. Don't keep us in suspense any longer. We all want to see what it is, right? Tom joked. Of course, everyone agreed, and the atmosphere became lively. It's perfectly normal for a mother to give a birthday gift to a child, Agnes told Violet, giving her a small nod, indicating to go ahead. Violet felt relieved when she heard Agnes's words. It seemed that Agnes's dislike for her was far less serious than her dislike for Logan's mother. That's good, Violet thought. Since we're comparing gifts now, I will give mine to you first. Here's my gift, Logan. Joanna had no choice but to quickly take out an envelope from her bag. It was quite thick. Logan took it and thanked her. I didn't know it was their birthday, so I didn't get them anything. Joanna raised her chin, indicating the twins. It's all right, Adam told her. We don't need your gift. We have Daddy and Mommy's gifts, he added. Yes, Amy agreed, nodding her head helpfully. We don't want or need anything from you, she stated.